Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 18 of Scientology Chat. Um, we just did an episode yesterday, so most of you probably haven't exactly been missing the dulcet tones of my wonderful voice, but I still wanted to do another episode today just to kind of keep the plan and the trajectory of our Thursdays going after missing a couple in a row. Um, Today's episode is going to be talking about, I'm calling the episode the Scientology Paywall because I wanted to do an episode about why the materials cost money and why I personally don't agree with giving them away for free. Um, at least, well, I'll explain it more in a minute here. The reason I wanted to talk about this as a topic is because I get asked pretty frequently, whether it's because of the podcast or because of the groups that I participate in, the myriad of different, Reddit things, Discord, Facebook, all these different things about and topics about Scientology. Um, Not only as a place to kind of promote the show and talk about, try to get people to tune in if they're interested, but also to do the same thing that I do on this show and other methods and other platforms. And through my communication with that, when I meet a lot of people who are just getting into or curious or want to start learning about Scientology and Dianetics or start studying something, they'll ask me for free materials, for PDF copies of different materials, this, that, and the other. And I've kind of talked about it in previous episodes, but I'm going to rehash it here again. Um, I don't do that. I don't give materials away for free, and I don't think that getting them for free is a good thing to do. And to begin that topic, let's look at religions who do give away materials for free. And we're the biggest, I don't want to use the word offender, but the biggest per group organization and religion that does this is going to be Christianity as a whole. I mean, you, especially here in Utah, you practically, I don't think you could throw a brick and not have that brick be within 35 feet of a Bible. And or even more, they used to get, and most of you, if you grew up Christian, I mean, in the last 65 years, especially in the USA or Canada, you probably know what I'm talking about when I mention this. The little colored copies of the New Testament or of Psalms, they give those away. I probably got like 20 of those for Easter from grandparents. I can distinctly remember an Easter where we went to two of our grandparents, and both of our grandparents gave me and my three brothers and sisters, both of them gave us a copy of those. And this kind of leads into that. I mean, at that time we were only, 10, 12, whatever, but the grand total of times that we read those books as a whopping zero. They would give those books not just to us, but they would give all this free Christian, well, free as in the context of giving it as a gift. They paid, in most cases, they paid for it, whether it was books by Joel Osteen or Joyce Myers, or there's one other, Gloria something, some other big one. But, I mean, all these things that my family and would get for free, or that when we would go do the Easter egg hunt at a non-denominational church in Post Falls, Idaho, I mean, I'm pretty sure they gave Bibles or Psalms or those little colored copies of the book to all the kids. And I would bet that of the hundreds of copies of those materials that Christian churches give away for free, less than 5% of people who get them ever actually read them. It's just a waste. I mean, the amount of production for the paper, the printing, the ink, the transport, For all of the Bibles that have been produced and never used in the world at this point is such a waste. It's a waste of effort and a waste of time. In my personal opinion, if Christianity and other religions as a whole spent more time working on doing what they're supposed to be doing to make the world a better place and less time worrying about who is or isn't a part of their religion, the world would be a lot better place for it. And so that's one of the things I like about the Church of Scientology that most people don't. It's religion should be giving away their materials for free. I don't think they should. But a religion provides an important service without a cost to the community, which the Church of Scientology already does. In Utah, there's the Purification Rundown Program for police officers and first responders who are exposed to harmful chemicals. So whether it's drug labs, asbestos fires, anything like that, first responders in the state of Utah can go get the purification rundown done for free. And there's also, the Church of Scientology also does Easter egg hunts, banquets, food drives, donations. The church provides the services to the community that it's supposed to. Less people take advantage of it because of the pressure, I guess, or the perceived pressure that you would have to convert. But I'll give you a perfect example. When I was in high school, I lived in Kellogg, Idaho. I was in high school and I was living in my car with my friend at a place called Bumblebee Campground. My grandma had not taken the news about my homosexual nature to be very good, and she actually wound up having a psychotic break and wound up going to the state insane asylum in Orofino, Idaho, which even then I was protesting, and I wasn't even a Scientologist yet by then. But anyway, because of that, I was living in my car with my friend, and we're living at this campground, and we were reaching a critical point. That's why I have my GED and not my high school diploma. I had to drop out because this all happened when I was 16 years old. And so we're living in our car. We have absolutely no food, no way and you can't get we couldn't get any assistance from the state because we were minors, and Idaho didn't have, I can't remember if it didn't have any or if it had ridiculously difficult emancipation things that you had to jump through to be able to do that kind of thing. So we're trying our best to come up with a way to get food, because the only place back then in Kellogg, a tiny ass town, where you could get a job when you're that young is pretty much McDonald's. And everybody that we knew from the high school worked at McDonald's. And we were already degrading ourselves enough to have to shower, and I put in my contacts and stuff at the gas station bathroom. Can you imagine? I can't believe my eyes never melted out of my head with the amount of germs that must have been in just floating around me while I was putting in and taking out my contacts in a gas station bathroom. But yeah, so, and we were already having to do that. We tried our best to get through high school. We made it when the school year started. We didn't drop out until December. But at that point, I mean, we were. It's a good thing that my friend at that point, who was a woman, she had like 30 bottles of different. This is back in like 2008, 2009. She had all these tall bottles of perfume and body spray that you could get from Walmart. And I mean, we basically were either bathing in the North Fork of the Coeur d'Alene River to the best of our abilities, or we were essentially bathing ourselves with baby wipes and Paris Hilton perfume. And so we were already having to deal with all of that. We weren't going to put even more into the mix of the misery by working at the only place that would hire us at 16, being McDonald's, surrounded by the people who already were giving us, side eyes. And, teenagers are just the worst. I was the worst as well. But yeah, so, and that was our only option. The only town anywhere near there that was of a decent size was Coeur d'Alene, and that was already a 40-minute drive back and forth over a pass. So we didn't have the gas to be doing that. So we're reaching this critical point where we're desperate to get food, and we're like, okay, so what are our options? We reach out to the food bank, and the food bank in Kellogg, I mean, it basically had nothing. If I had $1 million, I would give half of it to that poor food bank. There are so many people back in my hometown, all of my home. I mean, everywhere from North Idaho to southern British Columbia is just. I wish that I could help so many of the people there, but so that was out. I mean, I'm not. We did get things from there. We were staying at a campground and we were using just logs, sticks, whatever we could find around the forest, and we were using the built-in metal grills that stick out of the ground. So, like the things we could get from the food bank were like cans of corn, or um, every once in a while we'd be able to get a gallon of milk and maybe some expired cereal, which we didn't complain. We were hungry enough. We were doing what we could. So, on top of that, the next option was churches. And that brings us to the point. And I bet you, most of you who are already familiar with American religion in general could probably already tell what's about to happen with the story I'm going to tell you, because we weren't asking for money or them to get us a hotel room or anything like that. Just food, whether it was from their congregation or whatever. We were desperate, and so we reached out to, I believe, three different churches: St. Rita's Catholic Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints in Pinehurst, and the a Community of Christ, a non-denominational church. Now, even back in high school, um, I often don't perceive myself as presenting as being, like Jack from Will and Grace, to be an out there, very eccentric gay person, but my voice certainly gives it away. And back then, I had big hair, I wore makeup, I had those. I mean, this was the height of this kind of scene in 2008, 2009. Long black hair swooped over one eyeliner, skinny jeans, skate shoes. I mean, the amount of stuff that when I was living with my grandma before I came out, we weren't rich by any means, but what she could help me get to try and fit in high school um, was great, and the friends that I had were very helpful in that regard too. But I mean, that's what I looked like. And the people at St. Rita's, this is a town of Kellogg. The entire county of Shoshone County in North Idaho has 16,000 people in it. The town has about 2,100, and half of them I'm related to. So the people at St. Rita's, the LDS Church, the Community of Christ, most of them, if they didn't know me, they knew my grandma. And if they knew my grandma and knew me and knew what had happened with my grandma, most of them were on her side, thinking that, I should have it was my fault, my problem, whatever. That has changed over the years, but at the time, it's crazy how much the world things can change in 16 years. But if so, while going to all of these churches, the first one we try is St. Rita's, and I will never forget what a disaster that was, because my um, art teacher at Kellogg High School at the time, she was my favorite teacher. We were friends. I even went to mass at that church with her. And then once was outed, or I never actually said I'm gay or anything. People just the rumor was already there, and the fact of the matter was that that's just who I was as a person, and I didn't really think that what I do in the privacy of my own boudoir was of anybody's consequence enough for me to have to make a public service announcement about it. But by the time that had spread enough, I just decided that I was going to accept it and go with it.
Hello, sorry everybody, I'm joining late.
Um, so with that, that's how well we already knew the people at this church. So when we went in there and we asked for the assistance, we were just flat out told that they don't do that kind of thing. And so which is funny because behind St. Rita's Church in Kellogg is actually some small apartments that were used to help women in crisis and people in need, but our need wasn't important enough, I guess. So that was the Catholic Church checked off the list, and this is also before I was a Scientologist. I was raised in non-denominational Christianity, and then the LDS, and then from there we went from I converted from the LDS to Catholicism, and I took my RCIA classes at St. Rita's Catholic Church. So they knew me. That priest knew me. The people in there knew who I was, but they still didn't want to help because of all of that crap that no one should have given a shit about. Um, so from there we went to the Community of Christ, which they did provide us with some help, not much, but they were what we were grateful for what they had. At that place, it was just a man, a pastor, and I use that term loosely when it comes to non-denominational Christianity, but a pastor and his wife was a very nice lady. I think if he had had the say so, it might have resulted in a in a different kind of situation. But because it was her, well, that was we got some help, and so from there we get to the LDS, and this is the one that always gets me, and this is why I so strictly I have some animosity towards LDS missions and places and Catholic missions too, not just the LDS, but um, pretty much all, I don't want to say, the vast majority of Christian denominations who have these programs and missions around the world to supposedly provide help to the needy follow a similar trend to the LDS in Pinehurst, Idaho. When we needed help, we were introduced to two missionaries, and they told us, you know what? We could probably help you, but would you be willing to take some time to learn about the Second Testament of the and Gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ? And to be honest, we wound up going through this process, and in order for us to get aid to be able to eat, to get basic services when we were living at that point, the only way we could get it from them was if we showed interest and took classes, or I mean that to get baptized. Both of us, that's what they wanted before that we could get help, was that they wanted us to get baptized. So we did. Was baptized in the LDS and baptized in the Catholic Church and baptized by a church called Real Life Ministries in Post Falls, Idaho, and somehow none of that worked. I'm still gayer than hell. So that's the kind of where people say the Church of Scientology doesn't provide enough aid. People wind up not going there because they think that the church isn't going to let you get any assistance unless you join or buy something or become a member or sign a billion-year contract. And it's like, are you shitting me? Go try and get some help from most Christian churches. They're going to want to do the same thing. A billion years is less than your eternal soul if we're going to take everything spiritual into strict matter-of-fact way. So the church, and the Church of Scientology does not want to convert you. If you need help, you can. If you want to join something like you need mental health and you want to do courses, you can volunteer your time or give something or join staff or something without even becoming a member of the Church of Scientology. You can do landscaping or do whatever whatever for the church, even if it's just cleaning and moving boxes around in exchange for different classes to help you. And they still, I mean, you don't have to join the IAS. I spent like the first 4.5 years doing Dianetics with iHelp West US, which is the group for field auditors, and they never pressured me to join the IAS. They never pressured me to say I was a Scientologist. So if there had been an org at that time, I would have been more likely to be able to get assistance from there than I was to be able to get aid from the LDS or the Catholic Church without being willing to sell them literally based on the pretext of their religion. In order to be able to eat, we have to sell them our souls. Well, you don't have to do that at a Church of Scientology to get aid and assistance. You have to volunteer your time, or you have to volunteer this is why the episode is called that in general. You have to volunteer something of value to get something of value in return. And the reason for that, wrapping it all back up with all those wasted Bibles that have been printed in the world that did nothing for anybody except waste materials and collect dust.
Hotels seem to like to buy them, though.
It's another perfect example. I love of all those wasted Bibles. So in the Church of Scientology, and this is why I don't give away materials for free, is if you can get a copy of Dianetics right now. You can either you could get a free trial on Audible, listen to the whole audiobook, then cancel your free trial, or you could check it out for free from your local library, or request that your library order the book so you can get it, or you can spend $3 to get a copy on Amazon. And if you can't be bothered to do any of those three things, you're sure as fuck not going to actually read the material, even if I give it to you.
Well, that, you might be able to find a PDF of it somewhere for free online.
Well, that's what I mean, is I don't want people to do, I want
never mind.
Do whatever you want, but I think
we're not your parents.
if you actually want to read the book and learn the materials and do shit to actually do the shit in it, if you really can't be bothered to either do the free trial, not have to pay anything, go to the library, not have to pay anything, or spend $3, I don't think that you should get the materials. You should have to give something of value to get something of value, so that when you get it, you actually value it and use it, instead of it collecting dust like those thousands upon thousands, probably millions upon millions, of never opened pointless Bibles. And so that's what people always compare Scientology to on that. Why do I have to pay to get your books when I don't have to pay to get their books? And the reason for that is our books we consider to have value, and if you want to get it, we want to know that you're not just going to buy it to never use it. Why should we give it to you so that you can have a 455-page paperweight that you're never going to touch? And so that's why I don't give away materials for free. You can find people who will in the different groups and whatever. I'm sure and you can certainly find it online. But to me, I don't feel like that $3 to be able to get the materials in exchange for a more concrete reason for you to actually read the book is that much to ask for. And so, just like we talked about in the last episode, these books can be difficult to read, and it has to be a commitment for you to get to the end for some people. And the commitment will be stronger if you gave something of value to get it. And so the same kind of thing applies with courses. If you think about it with those same kind of Christian churches, most of them offer something like free marriage counseling, or NA or AA, or the LDS version of AA, which I've been going to a couple of those meetings while I've been in jail. And interesting changes. I'll tell you right now that the LDS, the vast majority of LDS people who were raised in that church shouldn't be allowed within 500 yards of an AA or NA meeting, because the people who run the one at the jail here, where in Utah, were telling people who are struggling with meth, coke, drinking, whatever addictions, they were telling people that they understand their problems because of their previous struggles, and I shit you not, with caffeine. The man actually said that. And that will never not be funny to me. Their heart is in the right place, I'm sure, although they sure do love to try and get people to do LDS courses. and to be part of their program. So that ulterior motive is still present. But I mean, that is really, that whole thing is hilarious to me. So lost my place here. Completely forgot. No, it's totally gone. Happens to the best of us. Oh yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. All these programs at these different churches are free, with marriage counseling in particular being one of the biggest offenders. And people go to these events, some with good intentions, but others because they're being dragged, or it's free, or it's part of their church and their pastor, whoever tells them to go do it. And this is another example. The Church of Scientology has these paid courses that you go do, and the difference between going to a course that you paid for and going to a course that's free is that the one that you paid for, you have more of an incentive to actually pay attention and absorb it, so it has a better chance of actually impacting your life. And again, those courses can be attended without paying something in money, if you're willing to give something of value in return, and that being your time. So again, I think that is, if you place value on what you're getting, whether it's Dianetics or self-analysis for your mental health, or clear body, clear mind, or even the purification rundown, what you're getting out of these things, if you place value in them, of better mental health or sobriety or whatever, as you go, the value you place on what you're trying to get, you should be willing to give something of value in exchange to get it in return. And so that's what this is what I'm talking about with, like, the title of this episode, the Scientology Paywall. So it's just, that's why it exists, and that's the whole point of it. It's not to just rake in as much money as possible. I mean, the Dianetics course, you could take that for like $20. You can get the book and the course and have a case supervisor help you for, like, I think it was $40. And that's to have somebody help you answer questions at any time that you need them, access to the course room, all the books, the dictionaries, everything in there for $40. It's not, or some of your time to help sweep up or do dishes in the cafe, or so you could give 4 hours of your time, and 4 hours of your time for 40 hours worth of courses with somebody there helping you anytime you need them is a pretty good exchange in my point of view. So and yes, things in Scientology get more expensive as you go along, because the value of what you're getting in return, if you're trying to work your way up the bridge, the value of what you are getting in return for these higher levels, that is why it is more expensive. You are giving something of equal value to get your perceived value out of these courses. And there is, despite what everybody might say, every Scientologist who says that you're pressured to move up the bridge is, almost said the P word, that starts with P and rhymes with ussy, but that's a word that will get me in trouble if I use that word uncensored with our platform.
What the word that you use to say that it rhymes with, I do not think is an actual.
No, it wasn't, but just in case, because we have so many people who listen from different countries, that's better. It starts with a P and ends with ussy. We'll say it that way instead. But I think that the people who say that have a very weak spine, because there's a very easy word. It's very quick, very simple. It's the same in a lot of languages around the world. It's a world, and it's only 2 letters in English. So, and that's all you have to say. If somebody says, "Do you want to take this course?" There's this crazy, magic, unbelievable word that you can say back to them, and it will prevent you from being forced into some sort of class that you don't want to do. And I'll give you a hint. It starts with N, ends with O, and it's pronounced no. So
no means no.
Yeah. So if your goal is to go is to you could just get to a release the in Dianetics. If you don't want to, you don't even have to go clear. You can get to what's called a Dianetic release. You don't even need any other books. You could spend $20 on the book, $20 on the course to get that out of it. If you get that and then you want more, you can pay more. You can pay to go clear. You set your own objectives and your own goals, and then you pay whatever you need to get what you are getting of value that you are desiring. You're not forced to pay. And it's just to people out there, you might think, well, some of that shit is so outrageously expensive that what you get in return could not possibly be of equal value for the money that they want you to give. And I would say, maybe I agree with that in some ways. This is that same mantra of something's only true if it's true for you. As a member of the church, they never held a gun to my head and said you need to pay $3,500 to be able to take this course, or everything you've ever learned, we're going to use a spiritual shop vac to suck it out of your head and kick you out of the religion. So I got what I wanted out of the religion and did what I wanted in the religion because I knew what my objectives were. I knew what I placed value on, and I gave something of equal value in return for what I got. And so the whole deal about there being this paywall or a pay-to-play religion or all these other jokes I've seen people say about Scientology is just horseshit. Like I said, if you want Dianetics and don't want to have to pay, in my Audible library right now, I have Self-Analysis, Dianetics, Fundamentals of Thought, and A New Slant on Life. All of those books I got for free through something I already paid money for in the first place, and I could have got them for free anyway through the free trial. There are these methods. The only way that it's pay to play or something is behind a paywall is because you aren't interested in something for its value. You're interested in something out of curiosity, and there are answers to those questions without providing you all of the materials with all of the information of value that we place value in. The materials guide chart that I mention all the time being a perfect example. So that pretty much wraps up the episode that we're doing today. I hope that this if you still think that Scientology is a pay-to-play religion, and and especially if you've never been a Scientologist and just completely disregard everything I say, like some of the things that I've read when I make the fatal mistake of Googling myself or Googling and finding things about us on the Scientology or another particular Reddit group that I won't use the name of.
Oh, you're gonna have to show me.
But if you still think that I'm out here trying to peddle this to you or trick you into thinking something, keep listening. Please keep listening to the show. Keep getting our metrics up. Thank you.
Yeah, no kidding.
The last thing before we go, there's two things. The first one is make sure you go to our new website. It's the Scientologychat.podbean.com. And while you're there, you could take a look at what it looks like. Tell me what you think. There's now the button to be able to support the show if you're interested in doing that and seeing the different rewards.
Hey.
And the reason I tell you about that is that the second piece, by the start of this gentleman doesn't even know because I only got this like 45 minutes ago.
Oh.
So starting with our next podcast, it will be sponsored. There will be a very will be something in the middle at the beginning of the episode that will talk about it. And I'm pretty sure that the reason that I got this email was because of how many times in these episodes I've told you about how you can get the Dianetics and these materials for free through Audible. Well, Audible sent me an email and said that they're going to sponsor the show.
No kidding.
They're going to give us one of those custom links, just like, Jimmy Dore, just like basically every YouTuber.
Any podcaster, right?
Yeah, podcaster, YouTuber, whatever. So And I personally think that that is a good ass deal for this exact. That's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this. If you want to get the materials for free, well, here's your perfect chance. Use our link, sign up for the free trial, and you get the audiobooks. And then if you keep the service or not, you can listen to us on Podbean or on Audible. Um, so that's going to be the way that it works starting next week.
Also, Audible is a very good thing. I certainly listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Yeah.
I do have quite a few actual, physical books, but we're not just selling out to something we don't like. We're not reading a Candy Crush ad or something.
Right, shit. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, there's a particular book by Rhett and Link of Good Mythical Morning that I got the Audible book on that, and I think
which one?
The Bleak Creek one.
Oh yeah.
I've listened to that so many times through Audible.
Did they actually read it?
No, they did after
the bastards.
No, but the guy who read it does a really good job. I like the voices and the way he reads the story. But anyway, yeah. So you can listen to us on Audible, and you can use Audible to get the materials that people so desperately want to get without having to pay any money. So I feel like this is a perfect win-win situation here. So we'll give it, and once that starts, there will also be a link that I'll add to that website as well. So thank you so much. I'll either be back next Wednesday for the next episode in the E-meter series, or we'll be back on Thursday.
I was gonna say, are we doing this Wednesday?
Nah, so I don't know for sure yet because I'll have to get everything together. Like I said in the other episode, I'll have to get everything together and kind of make sure I have it in a structured way so that I don't want you to be listening to me fumble through all of this. I want it to be clear, concise, and accurate in what I'm telling you. But other than that, thank you so much. If you are an American out there, happy 4th of July next week. If you're a Canadian, happy Canada Day.
That's next week.
Yep, Canada Day is Monday, 4th of July is Thursday.
I'm not a very good American.
Yeah. And also, if you're an American, the CNN presidential debate is on tonight, and God help you all.
Don't get it.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll be back next week.